What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Babbles Nonsense podcast. I'm so glad to be back this week. Again, I know I took another week off. Who would have thunk it? But it's been draining this summer. Maybe a podcast episode on that coming up, but just work in general, just hustling, grinding, all the things. But I'm so glad that you are here and that I'm here this week, because today we are going to talk about something that I truly think every single one of us probably does. Like, I don't know if it's getting worse for me or if I'm just noticing it more, but what I have noticed that I do, maybe you do too, is we automatically assume the worst situation. Like, seriously. For example, if someone doesn't text us back, then automatically they hate me. Maybe it's your boss saying something like, hey, can you come see me for a minute? Well, my brain goes straight to, guess I'm unemployed. Or maybe it's even your friend saying, can we talk later? And I'm in my mind like, absolutely not. Tell me now, because my anxiety has already planned out 17 different conversations. And in every single one of them, I've somehow ruined our friendship. So hopefully someone out there can tell me that I'm not the only one that does this, because I swear our brains are like little conspiracy theorists. They're over here connecting dots that don't even exist sometimes. So yeah, that's what we're going to get into today. So stay tuned. All right. So like I said in the intro, basically to summarize it all up, I'm truly interested in why our brains are so dramatic, or if it's just me, because I don't feel like this is just me. I feel like this is like kind of tying into the conversation from the last episode where we filter everything through our trauma and lenses and things that we have to work on daily. So I truly have to know if this is just me or if everyone else's brain does this, where, we just think the worst thing always. And maybe it's more that I lean more pessimistic. I'm not as optimistic as I'm trying to come across and trying to be. Like, I am trying to change that lens that I have, because I feel like my brain is just exhausting me a lot of the times. It's absolutely exhausting. And for example, kind of what brought this conversation or thought of the podcast was, the other day I texted someone, typically someone I would text all the time. They typically respond, pretty promptly, things like that. And then I got nothing. It was just silence. Maybe 30 minutes went by, maybe an hour or a couple hours, and then still nothing. And I wasn't even texting about anything important, to be quite honest. It was more like, hey, are you alive? What's up? How are you doing? It was literally just a normal day-to-day conversation. And somewhere between that 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, my brain literally was like, well, are they irritated? Do they hate me now? Are we no longer friends? And I genuinely don't know why. There was literally no evidence, nothing that happened, but my brain was like, we have this mystery here. We got to figure it out. We got to protect you. We got to figure this out. And instead of just living my life in that moment saying they're probably busy, they'll get back to me when they can, I had to start, solving that mystery as us females do. We become these FBI detectives, agents. We start analyzing, what did I say? What was my last text message? Did it come across? Maybe my tone wasn't good in a text message. Should I have sent that emoji with it? Did they get the hint that I was laughing and not like trying to be blunt and rude, or what? Fill in the blank, whatever it is. But of course, a couple hours goes by and then you get a text back something like, hey, sorry, I was mowing the yard. Hey, sorry, I was out with friends. I put my phone down for a while, whatever it is. Meanwhile, my brain had already written this entire documentary about the downfall of our friendship. And when you think about it, it's pretty comical, because why are we, or why am I like this? Like, seriously, I'm genuinely asking. And the only thing I can think of is like that deep dive that I went on about 2 weeks ago, where we filter all our trauma through these lenses and whatnot. And I know that I'm not alone in this, because I obviously have friends that I talk to about it. I hear people doing this a lot. Like, people have done this with me, thinking I'm mad when I'm not mad. like, because I'm genuinely a person that will respond back very promptly. And so when it takes me a while to respond, I do have some friends that'll be like, hey, have I done something? And I'm like, oh no, I was just genuinely busy. But I also like thinking over the course of my life, just trying to like think of other reasons why, other than, the trauma responses we have, the filters, the lenses that we have, all that was in the previous episode. But like, I think working in medicine also kind of trains your brain to do this, especially working in trauma or, emergency medicine, because you do see the worst of the worst and you see a lot of negativity day in and day out. And when you're working 12 to 14 hour shifts, 3 to 4 days a week, like that's a lot. And then when you're working with people that have been doing this for a long time and you're having to constantly quiet noise or shut out backgrounds, or you now have a bunch of negative, pessimistic people as friends, it can kind of like just become part of your personality. Because I know when I was working in the ER and people would come in, like patients, they would say things like, I'm probably wasting your time. This is probably nothing. Or you're going to think I'm crazy, or whatever it may be. Someone has already pre-decided what I'm thinking when it's my literal job to come see what's going on. I haven't even introduced myself yet at that point, and I truly don't know why someone's there, but I'm here for 13 hours anyway. So like, you don't have to apologize. And I see that now still, like not working in emergency medicine, but working on, the veteran side of things. They'll be like, I shouldn't be complaining. And I'm like, yeah, you should. Like literally that's why you're here. So it did make me wonder, at what point did we all start assuming everyone else is judging us if we're going to take out the trauma lens and all that other stuff? Because think about it. If someone walks into a room, if they trip, everybody immediately thinks like, oh my gosh, are they okay? But the person who tripped starts thinking things like, how embarrassing, I'll never be able to, bring my face in front of these people again, whatever it may be. And we're over here like, no, half the people already forgot it happened like within 30 seconds until the next thing happens. And I do think maybe like our jobs have part of it, just like I, gave an example of me working in the ER, and then possibly social media has made it a little worse too, because sometimes when you post things and somebody that maybe always likes your stuff doesn't, now all of a sudden you have to become this, again, FBI agent. And it's you're almost in your head like, interesting. This person usually likes my photos. They haven't liked this one. What does this mean? And it means nothing, because does social media really mean anything at the end of the day other than things for us, not someone else? It probably just means they were busy, or maybe asleep, or maybe not even on social media, or their algorithm isn't showing you their stuff. That could be it. But no. Our brain doesn't choose that explanation. It genuinely chooses the chaos, or maybe yours doesn't. Mine just does. But the funny part of that is I don't even think we realize we're doing it in the moment. It's kind of that automatic, turn it on, turn it off situation. It's almost like our brains hate these unanswered questions, and again, starts telling yourselves the stories. But like me and you has taught me, usually that's because your brain is just genuinely trying to protect yourself. If it thinks danger is coming, whether that danger be true or not, if it thinks that, then it's going to automatically start protecting you. And so that's when our brains start trying to fill in the blanks and trying to investigate. And depending on, the lenses and the trauma and how you've responded in the past or your past situations is going to affect how your brain chooses to fill in those blanks. And I was reading about this because once I started wondering about something like this kind of thing, I just genuinely have to know. And apparently our brains are prediction machines. They're constantly trying to figure out what's about to happen, which honestly makes sense. If you lived 1,000 years ago, assuming something dangerous was out there, probably kept you alive. Because think about it, like if you heard something rumbling in the bushes and you were just this positive person, it was like, oh, it's probably nothing. And then you have this huge bear come out and eat you. whatever it may be, horrible example. But it's just like our brains are kind of conditioned that way. Like, yes, we have evolved as humans a lot, but I think our core has not when it comes to like our internal systems. But now our brains still use that same software we had way back in the day, but it's just now on text messages, and it's now on social media where there's not true danger, but our brain thinks there is. For example, there's certain things that I do not like in a text message. Like, I do not like the thumbs up, and I do not like the K period, because what does that even mean? Nothing good has ever come from someone saying K period. You cannot convince me otherwise. If someone sends a K period, I'm immediately wondering if I need to apologize. Like, for what? No clue. But apparently something, I got to apologize for something. And that's the next question genuinely that I ask, is I'm like, what did I do? What did I say? And usually on the other end, it's nothing. I'm busy. And I think it's just because when I use a thumbs up or I use a K period, I'm usually annoyed. And so when, we all interpret how we talk to someone else is exactly how they would talk. And that's just simply not true. We're all different human beings and individuals. I mean, I have a friend that loves using the thumbs up, and we've even had a conversation about it before. I'm like, hey, are you, mad at me when you send this? And she's like, no, it's just the easiest way to say okay. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not how I take it. So yeah. But I think one of the biggest things working with people in medicine and just with the public has taught me is that almost everybody is worried about themselves. That's just, we're selfish human beings. I mean, it is what it is. We can say it's not because we're selfish, but to the core, we're always trying to protect ourselves, which can be a selfish trait, because we are all living inside our own heads, which makes sense. And I'm not saying like selfish in a bad thing. I'm just saying like we're in our own heads all the time, 24/7. We don't get to take a break from ourselves. So something that maybe you've been thinking about all day, the embarrassing thing you said in a meeting or to a friend, or, an awkward interaction at a Starbucks cafe, whatever it may be, a lot of us replay this like someone would replay football game footage. And honestly, I think that's kind of freeing a little bit, because if everybody is worried that they're being judged, who's actually doing the judging? Probably nobody, or probably everybody, because we do live in a world where we do judge other people based on our biases, based on our cultures and whatnot. Or at least I think maybe it's probably a lot less than we think people are judging us, because if you're worried about yourself and people judging you, how do you really have time to worry about the opposite? But don't get me wrong, like, I do feel some people are just plain out rude. Sometimes your gut is telling you something important, and I'm not saying to ignore your gut or your intuition. I'm just saying maybe before we decide somebody hates us, or because we assume the worst in a lot of situations, maybe we should ask, do I actually know that? Or did my brain just make that up because it doesn't like uncertainty, or it doesn't like this pause, or it doesn't like the waiting period? Because I've caught my brain doing it more times than I can count. And now that I'm realizing it, I can almost stop it. Now, I can't stop the spiral, because I will spiral, but I can at least say I know I'm spiraling right now, which is progress in my personal opinion. But yeah, that's my random thought for this week. If y'all have ever convinced yourself somebody was mad at you only to find out they left their phone in the car or fell asleep, welcome to the club. We're accepting applications over here. No interview required. This is Spiral City, Babbles Nonsense. Just bring your overthinking over my way and we can have a whole sesh about it.